Today we move ahead with one of the important concept and aspect, that is factors influencing consumer buying behavior. Now here, basically, what is the reason why a customer is purchasing a particular offering is important for the marketers. Many a times, the consumer finds that there are certain gaps and provides the feedback to the manufacturer. Based upon this feedback, the manufacturer thinks of placing an offering in this gap. Now that is how the manufacturers think of offering new varieties of goods or products, improving the services. They think of having more flavors, more colors, as far as packaging is considered. They try to experiment with the packaging also. Now here, how do they get this idea? From the customers itself, from the feedback. Or many a times, they themselves think of coming up with certain new concepts or ideas. Now, the first and the foremost thing in the consumer buying behavior is the factors which influence the buying pattern of the customers. Now, here, the cultural factor, if we consider, it comprises of three aspects or three variables, you can say, that is the culture, the subculture, and the social class. Now, when we take the culture, which is the, we can say, fundamental determinant of a person's wants and behavior. When we purchase anything, there is an element of culture which guides the purchasing behavior of the customer here. We, as a growing child, we acquire our culture from our parents. Then a child starts going to the school and starts imbibing the culture from the school, from the surroundings. As we grow, okay, we try to analyze the environmental factors, and it has an influence on a person. When a person enters an organization, there is the organization culture, which also influences a person, their habits. Now, whenever we get influenced with more of the people, whenever we come in contact with the people, through one or the other way, we get influenced. Now, how culture has a correlation with reference to consumer behavior. Now, today, if you see, in terms of product, whether the culture gets reflected, yes. Why we purchase a particular product and we know, why not the other? Now here, culture does not mean only the foundation or the roots of the person. It is also much more than that. Now here, if you take the examples of the culture, one can think of numerous culture. We have our own system, values which we follow as a family, maybe as part of tradition, or even the groups they have the culture. Now, if we just take the example of various uh, festivities or celebrations, the festivals they are guided by our culture. So maybe during the occasion of Diwali, the manufacturers they think of promoting the offering or the product. Now, you might have observed that as far as the electronic goods are considered, now in many of the culture, if you see, the festivals have their own role and importance. Many of the festivals they are very much considered as auspicious, and certain things are purchased on account of that uh, particular festival. So here, if we see the purchasing power parity as with reference to gold purchasing, so people purchase maybe in routine anytime, but specifically uh, during these celebrations, okay, the particular auspicious days, occasions, people purchase gold. So here, uh, even the shopkeepers, they know that the demand would increase on those particular days. Maybe you consider as Dasra, maybe a Diwali. Okay. So here, even the shopkeepers, they are aware that the demand would rise. Similarly, if we see on these festivals or the occasions, people buy sweets, they buy electronic gadgets like mobile, refrigerator, television. Uh, Even the financial companies, they take the advantage of this cultural backdrop to push the product in the market. The loans are easily made available to the customer to purchase the goods. We have our habits as far as our food is also considered. Our diet, our food is related with that particular culture. Yes or no? Specifically, if you see when you enter into any restaurant, okay, you are aware about the background of that cuisine. Maybe a person likes any of the dishes. Okay, there the culture plays a role. In terms of clothing, culture plays a role. Now, when we speak about uh, culture and dietary habits, okay. So here I had given you an example of the I'd given you the example of a conflicts where initially the company failed, and then they had to remold the strategy. Now, whether they changed the product, no, not as such. Maybe they increased one or two flavors or variants, but the parent product or the product is the same. And today, it's much more in demand, and it's increasing. The market share or the penetration of the offering is increasing. Now, what is the reason? What happened that before it did not penetrate and afterwards it entered into the market and it is moving ahead? So here, when the company initially introduced, it did not take the cultural background or cultural aspect. So the company had to change the theme to convince the customers. Here, the company has been successful in changing the dietary habits of the people, Indian people. Okay. People have started to accept these products. Similarly, I give you an example of the Tropicana brand, where it introduced the fruit juices, and to increase the consumption, the product was pushed in the market by increasing the frequency, by focusing on the usage of the offering. Now here initially it focused on just the diet part or the health part, and then the focus shifted from the diet or the healthy consumption to maybe increase in the frequency or consumption of the fruit juices. Now here one can think of having a variety of goods which are derived by this cultural aspect. Now, when the company thinks of entering the international markets, uh, the importance of this factor increases. If the multinationals, when they're entering any nation, if they do not take into account the particular culture of that nation, then they will not sustain. People will not like. So today, the manufacturers, the marketers, they are more conscious. They first try to understand about the background of the people, about the cultural aspect, what are their aspirations, what do the masses they purchase, why do they purchase, when do they purchase. All these questions are answered here. And then the company thinks of entering any foreign market, so that without homework, nobody tries to enter, because there is a risk involved. Now, today we will see the health tourism. They are marketed based upon the cultural aspect. Many of the healthcare aspects or healthcare services are provided based upon the traditional cultural system. They are marketed rather than on the basis of the concept of traditional culture with reference to that particular area or region. Similarly, if we take the travel tours and travels industry, or for that matter, the tourism sector, okay, which is based on this cultural aspect. Now, people attach certain perceptions, people attach certain values with reference to this culture, and that's why uh, the importance of this cultural aspect has a vital role to play in marketing. On the basis of this culture, many of the products are marketed. Now, can you think of any examples as far as the cultural factors are considered? Whether you have understood the concept? Yes, students. Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So, can you relate this culture with any of the products? No. Whether you are able to understand? How the culture plays a role in marketing? Whether you have understood or not? Each culture consists of a smaller subcultures that provide specific identification and socialization for their members also. Now, these subcultures uh, are the nationalities, the backgrounds, the religions, the racial groups, the geographical regions, which play an important role in segmenting the markets, basically. And marketers often design the offerings or the products and services. They try to match the requirements of the customers by placing a particular offering to that segment or that or to those masses who require those products at that particular time. Now coming to the social class. In our society, we do have social stratifications. Now here, social classes are homogeneous and enduring divisions in the society we live today. Now, social class does not mean the uh, income alone. It has certain other indicators like it's related to the education of the person, educational background, the occupation part, the particular area of residence. Now, why these matters? They also differ. The social class also differs in terms of dress, the speech patterns, the preference of recreation, etc. Now, here when we speak of residence localities, now if you take the real estate market, do you find that there are the pricing of that real estate, it depends upon the particular locality. What does that signify? Maybe in the interiors, maybe in rural areas, the prices are on the lower side. But when we move towards the city, they are higher. Similarly, maybe we say that there is a elite group, okay, at a particular locality where the uh, costing of a particular house or the real estate is very much high. Why one says that? Because it depends upon the social class. Similarly, when one thinks about occupation, when one purchases the clothing also, so whether occupation has to play a role? Yes, because it depends upon what is the requirement of the person. Those who are the professionals, maybe they are the managers, their requirements are very different from the blue collar workers. Now, social classes, they do have certain characteristics. Like within a social class, they tend to behave more alike from the other persons. People are perceived as occupying inferior or superior positions in the social class. The social class is itself indicated by different clusters of attributes like occupation, income, education, the value orientation, etc. Now, here one can think that the individuals move from one class to the other also in their lifetime. And as they move from one class to the other, the needs or the preferences, they do change. The social classes, they exhibit their own distinct characteristics or features, which again give rise to the product or the brand preferences with reference to that particular social class. Now, here, if we take the products like clothing, home furnishing, the recreational facilities, the automobiles, all are based upon this part of the social class. This is one of the influential factor when the customer is purchasing the goods or entering or purchasing of the services is considered. Now here, when we name the particular service industries, the brands, we come to know to which class that particular offering is mapped to or targeted at. Not necessarily we speak of income bracket all the time here. That does not mean the social class. That's why it's said that social class is much more than just considering the economics part. Now, considering coming to the next part, that is the social factors. Uh, consumers' behavior is also influenced by social factors like reference groups, family roles, and status. A person's reference groups, it consists of all groups that have direct or indirect influence on the person's attitude or behavior. People are influenced by friends, peer groups, family members. Now, you might have experienced that suppose if you want to purchase a phone, you have a friend, a close friend of yours. Whenever you want to purchase a smartphone, maybe you will discuss with your friend that I need this and this phone. These are the features. The other friend will say, why don't you go for this? brand, there are so many features. So here there is an influence. Similarly, in the purchase of insurance, okay, or portfolio management, financial portfolio management, uh, a person requires the consultation. Many a times, one can have the reference personal referring or influencing the decision to buy a particular offering. Even in terms of travel and tourism or recreational facilities, this reference group, it matters. Now here, suppose if the person is a member of certain group, certain club, where the people meet on day-to-day basis, they discuss many things. So here, even with reference to this group, also the person is influenced. Each and every individual has different self-concept, attitude, or they have their own lifestyles. Specifically when it comes to the selling of new concepts, okay, or new introduction of new technology, people do speak, people, they like to live in groups. We as a human being, we cannot live alone. We always chit chat with others, we discuss many things. So here, uh, in terms of this reference group, also the same thing happens. With the word of mouth publicity, the service or the product gets exposure to different people. This affects the brand choice of the masses. If a particular person is very much satisfied, he spreads the word of mouth publicity through his reference groups, and the others are the followers here. Now, many a times, you might have observed that in some of the ads, the referrals are taken there. They are portrayed, the referrals. Maybe if it is with reference to the toothpaste ad, a doctor is shown. Okay. Because the doctor or the dentist is emphasizing on the use of that particular toothpaste. So it impacts the customers. It is expected basically to influence the customers. Or why celebrities are considered for this advertising, because somewhere it impacts the audience. Now, for the insurance, those who are working in insurance sector, they try to sell the offering through the reference groups. Today, insurance business is not more of selling the offerings, it's more of convincing the clients or the customers. Now, manufacturers of the offerings, where the group influence is very strong, must determine how to reach the person who influences the other. Now, the person who has a strong hold or influence on others is the opinion leader in terms of reference groups. Opinion leader is a direct target for the manufacturers or the companies. If the opinion leader gets influenced very easily, then it becomes much more easier task for the marketers to penetrate into the market. Because if opinion leader is satisfied, then definitely the followers would be satisfied. Now the next part is family. Family is the most important consumer buying organization in the society. The family members constitute the most influential primary reference group here. Whenever a single person in the family tries to purchase an offering, tries to purchase the product, the others, they're always there to influence. The ultimate decision would be of the purchaser, but still the others will try to analyze from their point of view. Now it depends upon how stubborn is the person. Okay. And gives priority to his own liking or the preferences or choices. Otherwise, there are others who are there even at the end moment try to influence and change the decision. That's why the marketers are more interested to understand who is the influencer here. Because though the consumer may be a different person, the influencer always has an upper hand when it comes to decision making process. Now, maybe here you can take an example of a small child, okay, where at the end moment of decision, uh, if the parents are purchasing the toy and they have made up the mind that they will purchase a particular toy, at the end moment, maybe the child cries and whatever he wants, he may take and influence the parents to purchase whatever the child wants. Or maybe against this, the parents, they think from the monetary perspective and they just tell the kid that this is what is available and affordable. You don't have a say. Maybe we need to purchase this. So here, uh, one cannot predict actually that unless and until the person purchases and pays for it, that this is the end point of closure as far as the sales is considered. Nobody can predict the consumers. Many of the people, they just enter the store, they makes the salesperson work, they try to check out and then they leave the shop. After maybe waiting there for 15 to 20 minutes, they spend on just having a look. But if they are not satisfied, they directly walk off the shop. They do not wait there. Similarly, it depends upon the type of offering or the product to be purchased. If they are the generic goods which we use on day-to-day basis, maybe the regular staples, groceries, or consumables. In that case, the housewife, the homemaker, or the lady may have an upper edge. While against this, maybe when one thinks of purchasing an automobile, investments decisions, maybe the head of the family takes the decision here. So one cannot predict what exactly is going to happen when the customer drops in the shop and tries to analyze and purchase the product. Though the salesperson always tries his level best to convince the customer, but again, it depends upon the individual customers what they purchase, what they like to purchase here. Again, who has a upper hand in this purchasing process? Whether it's a husband, whether it's a wife, whether it's a small kid, nobody knows that who is the decision maker unless and until uh, they decide on the brand at the end. Many a times the eagerness plays a role. Many a times the quality aspect plays a role. Many a times the economics, that is affordability, that plays a very vital role in purchase of the offerings, in purchase of the products. So the customers are interested to understand the buying patterns of the customers. When the customer purchase the goods very frequently, why do they purchase during that time frame? That time frame. What would be the pricing mechanism? How much emphasis should the company take as far as the promotional aspect is considered? So when the companies understand the mentality of the customers, it's becomes much more easier for the companies to build the gap in what the company is offering and the customer expectations. Now, have you understood this part? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
What about others? They are not at all responding. Where I am not able to understand whether they are understanding or not.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Now here, Asian Paints, you all know the brand, okay? The paints manufacturer company. The company used this consumer buying behavior pattern, these factors, okay, were studied by this company. They collected the data and experimented with the customers. Now, previously, there were no that much shades as available today in the paints. They are also into the industrial business, that is B2B as well as B2C. So since they wanted to improve, now here a very close competitor for Asian Paints is, do you know which is the brand? Any idea?
Nerolac.
Yeah, Nerolac is a brand which is a very close competitor. Uh, Nerolac enjoyed the market share more as compared to the Asian Paints, and it was a challenge for Asian Paints to overcome this monopoly of Nerolac. So to break the ice, the company started collecting the data as to what are the requirements, and they came to know that the pricing for the premium products is more. So it needed that the company introduces the paints which would satisfy the customers in the mid segment. That was one of the gap which the company realized. Second thing was whatever the shades Nerolac was offering was limited. So the companies thought of experimenting by adding more colors to it. So based upon these two strategies, one thing is uh, reaching the particular segment by offering a product which is affordable by that particular segment. One thing. Second thing is by improving on the color schemes or introducing new colors, new shades of variety. Again, one more aspect is with respect to distribution channel. Okay. So here the company took into account this consumer buying behavior pattern and it succeeded in the market. Slowly and steadily, the market share started to rise, the market share increased. Now, here, when the data was collected with reference to culture or the subcultural part, with reference to this paints market, why the people purchase, what are their requirements, what are their expectations, and then only the company moved ahead and thought of introducing the offerings. Similarly, Coca-Cola, initially it was just into the beverages brand. It did not have the Tropicana brand of fruit juices. So moving towards the healthier option, moving ahead with the healthy drink, it introduces the Tropicana brand. Now there were many competitors, and hence the company thought of increasing the consumption pattern of the people because so here initially the fruit juices market was very much restricted. So the company had to convince the customer by banking upon the health factor. Also, if you have seen the advertisement, the more focus was with reference to the kids, their health, then family get-togethers. That is the social uh, factor was taken into account where the people, the family, the get-togethers is considered, and they try to place the offering by convincing the customer on this background, on this backdrop. So have you understood now how the companies map with reference to the reference group, family, or the social factors? Now, roles and statuses we will discuss in the next session. But since I'm not getting responses, I'm not able to understand whether the students are able to map or understand what I am teaching. Only I get 1 or 2 responses. In the next session, we will continue with the roles and statuses part. Today, we will stop here. Okay, students?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.